Now, Republican Congressman from Arizona and House Freedom Caucus member Andy Biggs. Thank you for joining us, Representative.
Thanks, Adam. Good to be with you.
A lot of people like to point out that the government they call it government sex, because so many people from Goldman Sachs go to the government. Gary Cohn, Steve and it's across all administrations, Republican and Democrat. So when people say that Goldman Sachs not only runs the Trump White House, but the Obama White House, and before that, the Bush White House, is that accurate?
Well, sometimes people get that perception. I don't know how accurate it is here. I mean, you've got Goldman Sachs saying that they got hosed by the tax reform plan, and the reality is the tax reform plan's going to do what we said it would do, not what the media said it was going to do, which, you know, that kind of distortion exists all over the place from the radicalized media. But I don't think that Goldman Sachs is controlling this particular president. I think President Trump has indicated through his actions and his words, he's kind of a man who thinks apart, if I can put it that way. You know,
it's interesting covering Wall Street, covering Washington, Goldman Sachs, a lot of the big banks, but especially Goldman, have ties into just about everything. And this claim that they're going to take a hit, Goldman Sachs, they'll hit back. They're not going to take that big a hit. Right. They're going to be just fine.
Right.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is it, I know that you are a fiscal conservative, and the Freedom Caucus is very committed to making sure we bring spending under control. Do you get pressure from people on Wall Street to do things differently? For instance, is Wall Street pressuring you or people in the Freedom Caucus for the big infrastructure spending bill next year?
Well, they haven't ramped up on that just yet, but I think they're going to try to put pressure on us. And that's one of the big concerns that I think people like me have, is when you look at a promised $1 trillion infrastructure program, is how are you going to fund that? And that becomes a real issue, and we're hearing a little bit of it already, but they're waiting. They're pulling the starter on the lawnmower. It hasn't happened yet, but they're getting ready to start.
I used to have to cut the grass at my place in Cleveland, Ohio. I hated cutting the grass. So Goldman can pull that starter on the lawnmower. Good luck. Let me ask you this about it. So Apple, the huge company, they got a tax break. CEO Tim Cook has called for to bring billions home from overseas. A guest yesterday on the program said that Apple needs to pay up, but Tim Cook is making it a point to assure the world Apple is already paying its taxes. This is what he said not too long ago.
Here's what they concluded. Apple is engaged in a sophisticated scheme to pay little or no corporate taxes on $74 billion in revenues held overseas.
That is total political crap. There's no truth behind it. Apple pays every tax dollar we owe.
Congressman, I am not making a judgment call here, but when he said in that 60 Minutes interview on CBS, Tim Cook, that Apple pays every tax dollar it owes, well, under the old tax code, you could create a tax haven offshore and hide money. Not hide even, just put the money there to avoid paying taxes. So is Tim Cook being straight up with the American people?
Well, I'm not going to make a judgment either, but I will say that under the old tax system, you could, like you say, you could park billions of dollars overseas, and under the new system, you're not going to be able to do that. So I think they're going to bring it back. They have to repatriate, and when they do that, it's going to actually probably help their business here in the United States and help them overall, I believe. And so, you know, I haven't looked at Apple's tax forms, but I got to believe that you know, he was saying exactly very clear as he parsed his language. We pay every tax dollar we owe. I believe that they probably do. But they sure had some great ways to avoid it under the previous tax code.
I guess to quote a former president, not quite the same situation, but it depends on what your definition of is. I'm glad I brought a smile to your face, sir.
Yeah, you did. You did.
On that note, Congressman Biggs, I've got to let you go. I'll hunt you down in the hallways of the Capitol when we all get back there after the first. Have a safe and a healthy, happy New Year, sir.
And